Okay, so we're going to talk about box and whisker plots. Okay, so there's a bunch of definitions that we're going to need to learn. Okay, so you're going to have to really try and learn the definitions. Okay, so a data display that organizes data values into 4 groups. That's a box and whisker plot. Okay, so this is a box and whisker plot. Okay, the median of the lower half, so the median, so the middle of the lower half of the data is called the lower quartile. Okay, so the lower quartile. The median of the upper half is called the upper quartile. The difference between the upper and lower quartile is called the IQR. I'm gonna write that over here. IQR. It's called the interquartile range, or the IQR. Okay, interquartile range. Again, what that means is you just take the 2 quartiles and find the difference of them. So subtract. The highest number in the data set, is the upper extreme. The lowest number is called the lower extreme. And the middle number in the data set, when ordered from least to greatest, is the median. Okay, so what I would make sure to highlight or underline here is that they're broken into 4 sections. Each section holds 25% of the data. So that's super important. Each part holds 25% of the data. So that means this part from here to here is 25%. From here to here is 25. From there to there is 25. From here to here is 25%. Okay. And that from here to here is 50%. Okay, so each section holds 25%. And that middle box is 50% of the data. Okay, so let's start labeling what these things are. Let's start labeling what each thing is. Okay, so this whole chart here is a box and whisker plot. Okay, this whole thing here is a box and whisker plot. Now, our lower quartile is the median of the lower half. This here is my lower quartile. Okay, so it's the edge of my box. The upper quartile is the upper edge of my box. Upper quartile. Because if I look at this, the upper half of the data is from here up. And the middle of that is this edge, okay? The upper extreme is this endpoint here. This is the upper extreme. Then the lower extreme is this point here. The lower extreme. All right, and the median is the middle set of the data. This is the median. Okay, so what I do for each part is on every single one of my box and whisker plots, I write a little reference. So I write that this is my lower extreme, that this is my lower quartile, that this is my median, that this is my upper quartile, that this is my upper extreme. Okay, so I write that there. What else might be helpful is to write that each part is 25%. Okay, so it's not 25 numbers, it's 25%, which again is a big difference. And I might write that. So I might write both of those things for the first couple that you look at, just to get a solid understanding. Okay, this is this one's this one's this. All right, so what percentage is the upper quartile? So we said that this is my upper quartile. So I drag it down. And there's not an exact number there, so you have some room. So which one is it? It's about, I would say, 93%. Don't you think? Somewhere around there, 93, 94. Okay. This second question asks the range of the scores. So what this is asking is your upper quartile, your upper extreme minus your lower extreme. So your upper extreme is about here, which I would say is about 97, minus your lower extreme, which I would say, actually, I would say this is about 98, and this is 68, I would think, a little closer to those numbers. So what's 98 minus 68? That should be 30. Okay. What's the median? The median is this right here. The median is 85. What score represents the 100th percentile? So what that means is looking at my 25%. 25, 50. So this is 25. This is 50. This is 75. This is 100. So what score, aka your upper extreme, is what that's asking, represents the 100th percentile? And that's about 98%. About 98%. The other question is, how many scores are between 78 and 93? So how many scores are between 78 and 93? Okay, so let's look at that. So between these 2 points, between these 2 data sets, that's 50% of the data. If there's 20 students in the class, what's 50% of that? Or what's half of 20? There are 10 scores between that. The other question is, how many scores are less than 78? So that's 25% of my data. So 25% of 20 is 5. So I'd write 25% or, and then 50% or. Okay, so what I'm really looking for is the number, not the percentage. Okay, so let's go to the next page. I want you to try this one on your own. I want you to try answering A through F all on your own. So A through F, try that for me. Okay. Okie dokie. So you should have gotten 3 for the lower quartile, 10 for the median, 50, 75, 16, and 18. Okay, so this last part is we're going to create our own box and whisker plot. So the first thing we got to do is order these data from least to greatest, because we're talking about the median for a lot of this. So we have to order it from least to greatest. So pause the video, order it from least to greatest, and then unpause. Okay, so double check that yours are ordered like mine are. After you do that, I made a typo here. This says lower quartile, which I already have here. So I want you to write upper extreme. So this is really our upper extreme that we want to find. So the first thing we're going to do is find our median. Okay, in this case, I wouldn't cross things out. Okay, I know if there's 15 numbers, half of 15, which is where the median would be, is 7.5. So you always can do 15 divided by 2 because that's the middle, which would be 7.5, which then means that the middle data point would be 8. So I can count 8 data numbers in, which 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm looking at 80. Same thing from the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So no matter which way you count in, you should get 80 as your median. Okay, again, I don't want you to cross them off in this case because we're going to need this information. So that's your median. Before we look at the lower and upper quartile, the lower and upper extremes are going to be easier to find. Okay, so I would start with that, the easier things to find. Your lower extreme is your lowest data point. So this is your lower extreme, 75. Okay, the upper extreme is your highest data point. So that means that's 88. Okay, now we get to the little bit trickier part. So think back to your definition of the lower quartile is the median of the lower half of the data. The lower half of the data are these numbers here. This is the lower half of the data. You have to find the median of those. So we have to find the middle. So in this case, you could cross these off. Okay. So I know there's 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. So the median of that, or the lower quartile, is 77. Okay, so I'm just looking at the upper and lower data points and finding the median of them. So we don't use the median here. That's excluded. We've taken that out. Okay, so we just use the upper and the lower. And now we do 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. So now my upper quartile is 83. Okay, so now we have this information. Now we can start plotting it. Okay, so the median is 80. That's our middle of our box. The lower quartile is the lower of our box, and that's at 77. The upper quartile is the upper half of my box. Now I have my box. Now I can connect my points. All right, so I got my box. Now I need to do my extremes. You could use a dot or a line, either one. I like to do dots though. I think it's a little more concise. So a dot and draw that to the box. Go to 88, draw a dot, and connect that to the box. And now we've made our own box and whisker plot. Okay? Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All right. I want you to look at the homework. That's due on the 6th. So you're comparing two different scatter box and whisker plots. So make sure you're reading which one it's asking for, okay? Because sometimes they'll specify first period or second period.